Hello, this is Genosis for the top 10 loot locations in Navezgane for Alpha 20. If you followed me from Not a Gamer Gaming, you may remember that I've done this video back in Alpha 19. Now it's time for a refresh. Note that a number of these locations may not have changed and they still stand as great spots to get the goods. Now let's get right into it in no particular order. Red Mesa. Red Mesa has been the location for good loot for as long as I've played 7 Days to Die. This rings true even after a major overhaul in the past couple of alphas. There's tons of technology, secret passages, and one of the largest loot caches you can find in any POI. Also, this makes a great base if you take it over. The church. I beeline to the church every time I see it because it is one of the best caches of books outside of Crackbooks. It's a joy since you can get straight to the books the moment you get down into the library. There's usually only a few zombies to take care of, and more than a dozen lootable bookcases, and a secret stash ready within moments of entering. The cache at the end is also quite good with several boxes and a high-end loot container with a sneaky weapons bag. Housing development. This is a new one, but easily one of my favorites now. While it doesn't appear to be imposing at a first glance, it's a large POI when you consider the sum of the POI itself. Littered throughout, you will find many tool crates, resources such as cobblestone and cement, and several houses full of things that you can scrap down with a very large loot cache at the end, if you can bear the enemies guarding it. The school. Head back to school and grab a good source of books, harvesting, and a sizable end loot cache. The library halfway through is somewhat decent, more than any standard house at least. There are a lot of classrooms with resources for polymer and electronics parts from the seats and the screens. At the end, in the gymnasium, there's a nasty group of zombies guarding a very tasty loot cache with a large loot container. Shooting range. This particular store is one of the best sources of gun crates and is also easily accessible. When you first walk in, you already have a great number of displays for ammo and gear, and one of 2 gun safes waiting for you on the other side of a locked door. There's also a sneaky weapons bag right above the training room. As you go through, you'll find additional ammo piles, a hidden stash, and a room full of gun store boxes to drop into. At the end, you are rewarded with yet another gun safe and more displays. There is a very high chance of walking away from this place with more firepower than you started with. The House on the Hill. I call it the House on the Hill for its very prominent location in Navezgane. This is a deceptively large POI when you factor in the cave underneath and the winding path throughout the house. The library in here is among the best sources of books outside of a Crackbook store, and you know I love me some books. As you continue, you can find a decent pocket of medical items, a massive amount of electronics to salvage, and an above-average loot cache to break open at the end. Beware, the room before the loot cache, there are quite often a large group of tough zombies at any game stage. I favor the strategy of breaking open one block in the wall and taking care of them quickly before they break through. Dishong Tower. Skyscrapers are obvious sources of loot, and they will take you days to strip down if you're the meticulous type. There are many offices with great salvage material, pockets of loot, and if you survive the rooftop, you are treated to a massive loot room that will hopefully reward you for your efforts. Now don't forget to bring your oh shits drops, it's a long way down. Hospital. Apart from the sizable loot cache at the end, the hospital is an obvious source of medical items as you scour through each room. There are many salvage opportunities with all of the screens, hospital beds, and corpses. Another benefit to this place is the large number of vending machines. If you are lucky enough to get a sizable number of these to be functional, you may want to mark it on your map and check it after every restock. You will have all the candies and snacks that you could need. Target range. This is a newer gun store, and beyond the equipment and the ammo displays, has a top-tier loot cache waiting for you out in the open. This POI is short compared to many others, but packs a punch when you go into the shooting range area. This triggers a massive fight that you had better be prepared for. Plan ahead and pick your escape route just in case. Death Apartments. The Death Apartments, as my wife and I affectionately call it, is a salvaging paradise. You will find numerous rooms with kitchens, furniture, and bathrooms that have very useful resources to gather. There is also a construction floor with a very significant cache of cobblestone and cement, and many intermediate pockets of loot to find along the way. Of course, there is also a large reward should you make it to the top waiting for the resilient survivor. As stated before, this is not the top 10, but my top 10, and there are many comparable POIs that have great loot. This just happens to be my personal list that comes to mind when I think of great loot. This has been Genosis with the top 10 loot locations of Navezgane in Alpha 20. If you like what you saw here today, like the video. If you'd like to see some more in the future, consider subscribing if you haven't already. Thanks for watching.